All right, guys, I'm just doing another training session with some commentary. I'm gonna pull up some YouTube comments that I get and answer some questions there. Also put the training session up for the day right here. This is a day from Haas Concurrent, which is my training team on Train Heroic. High bar back squat jump, hit a heavy triple of front squat off of pins. And then after that, I'm gonna do some max approach jumps. I'm pretty limited in space in my garage here, so it's just gonna be short approach jumps. And I'll finish off with a pump set for my hamstrings, 2 sets of 20 with a hand supported single leg RDL. So let's get to it. I like the high bar back squat jumps a lot. I've done a video about it in the past and I just posted about it on Instagram. They give you a ton of mechanical tension from the upward phase of the jump to the landing and all the way down to the bottom and reversing out of the bottom. I just think they're a really good supplemental exercise if you want to get stronger, bigger legs. And you kind of just keep stacking plates till you can't jump off the ground anymore. I think the last time I did these, I worked up to 1 set of 3 at 285. We'll see if I can go a little heavier today. That was 120 kilos, so like 270, I think, 265, 270, something like that. Probably go up to 125 for this next set, see how it feels. So someone in my last video asked me how to determine the velocity of a jump without force plates. There's devices you can buy like that. There's something called a Tendo unit. The Tendo unit is basically just a string that you attach to the barbell, and that's also attached to a calculator. As you move the barbell, it pulls on the string, and it spits out the velocity you moved it at, usually in meters per second. And there's some other Bluetooth devices as well. Things like a push band is one of them. If you don't want to buy a piece of equipment, the next best thing you can probably do is just record your lift with a camera and determine the speed by using the time frame on the camera. Yeah, I'll have to see what that looked like, but I felt like I almost got stuck at the bottom. I was really slow, so that's probably a good number to finish at. That's 137. I think that's 302 pounds. I'll have to double check that though. So before moving on to front squats, I got a question from Chris. This is an email question. He wants to know, when is it the right time to abandon some sort of linear progression type program? But you have to remember that all progress is linear. There's just deviations in its linearity. So obviously you're not going to progress every week for 52 weeks of the year. Over the course of 6 months or a year or 18 months, however long you want to track progress, it's still going to be linear. My general answer to this question is, whenever you feel like you're hitting a plateau and you're not making progress as frequently and consistently as you were before, I wouldn't necessarily change the approach from trying to go from a linear to a non-linear program, but just start adding a lot more novelty to your program. I talked about novelty a ton. I think it's really important for driving long-term progress. If you're someone that's typically just doing like the basic exercises, front squat, back squat, deadlift, bench press, throw in some sort of new variable like a tempo or off of the pins or with a pause. Just do something new but the same basic movement pattern, just forcing you to change the movement strategy and how you approach the task. Hopefully that answer makes sense, but that's the way I would approach it. I love doing squats from pins, especially front squats. It's a really good challenge. My rack, the pins are kind of slightly slanted. You probably can't really see it on camera. So when I'm facing away from the rack and the bar is resting on the pins and I'm at the bottom of my squat, the bar starts to roll away from me a little bit. Makes this shit so much harder. So I just did a warm-up set at 140. That was pretty easy. I'll just go to 150 next. If I can hit 160 to 170 today for a triple, I'll be pretty happy. Going back to that question about when to abandon some sort of linear progression, I think a really helpful framing of how to view training that's really effective for me is kind of in 3 steps. 1, get really good at a skill. 2, get really good at producing outputs in that skill, so getting stronger. So getting good at the lifts themselves first, technique-wise, then getting stronger in those lifts. And then 3, improving upon the context in which we can produce those outputs. So get good at the lifts, get good strong in the lifts, and then get good at the variance of those lifts. $170 was tough, but it went up. My front rack is still kind of shitty from my elbow surgery, but it's getting better. Hopefully within the next couple of months, it's back to normal like it was. I thought it was just a tweak for the longest time, but it wasn't getting better. So then I went and got an x-ray. Saw an avulsion fracture. I had 4 pieces of bone that were chipped off and just floating in my elbow. Now moving on to the approach jumps, I'll answer a few more questions between jumps. But one question just says, I'd love to hear more about your diet and your thoughts on nutrition. I actually don't have much nutrition advice at all, but if you're someone that finds yourself overeating and you're always craving something to eat, I would say that the first thing that you should consume every single day besides water, I guess, would be protein. Don't have a bagel, don't have cereal. I would even say don't have fruit right away. Have a shake, have eggs, have some sort of meat. It just keeps you full for a little bit longer before you start craving anything else. That's what I try to do. I always try to make sure that the first thing I have in my body is a shake every day. And I do a shake with just water. I don't want to get the fat content that's in milk. The other thing I really like to do if I feel like I've gained a little bit of weight that I don't need is to fast. It's like the strategy of eating from noon to 8 p.m. every single day and not eating between 8 p.m. and noon the following day. Something that actually helps a ton to suppress your appetite is caffeine. When you start feeling a little bit hungry around 8, 9, or 10 a.m., have a 0-calorie energy drink. I think all the Bang energy drinks are 0 calorie. It's gonna help you stave off some hunger for a little bit later. So last thing I'm doing for the day is just 2 sets of 20 single leg RDL with hand supported. I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's kind of boring. Just want to get a good pump on the backside and raise my heart rate a bit. I'm going to try to start doing more of these types of videos where it's just me training but with some commentary. I want to answer some questions too. Go ahead and put some questions in the comments that I can answer in a video like this for the next one. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. See you next time.